start with the Doctor Who of it all. So this would have been originally 2023 that you got the call.
2022.
2022. So what was the process? How did auditioning or
Yes.
how did it all start?
It started with a very fortunate self-tape audition, which you probably heard about with videos yourself, that came through my agent, and it was for a small role in Doctor Who. The auditions was 2 scenes, and it was the scene where I welcome Nicola into the hotel room, Nicola Coughlin, Joy, into the hotel room, and then it was a short bit of the goodbye scene, very different script to what ended up getting filmed in that bit where I say goodbye to the Doctor, and that was it, probably under 10 lines. And then I had to do a re-audition with the casting director and producer, and very fortunately then got offered the job, and then miraculously, through lots of different things happening, they ended up writing more for my character Anita.
Yeah, because like you said, it started as 10 lines, and they've gone, oh, she's good, let's give them more.
I was very fortunate, and I think to do with also a bit of budgetary stuff, they couldn't take the Doctor where they wanted to take the Doctor, and so they were like, how can we keep the Doctor in this hotel, or keep him in a location? And then they came up with this lovely idea of keeping him in the hotel room, which worked in my favour, thank you very much. and my part grew, and I think luckily I got on with them very well, and I think they trusted me to have this lovely story arc, which I was very, very fortunate to get.
It's 8.5 minutes solid.
Yeah.
You and Shooty and that year in the Sandringham Hotel. And I mean, it's a lot that's kind of squeezed into a very short amount of time. You do feel like there's a complete story there and a complete relationship between the Doctor and Anita. So where do you go? What is the journey? How do you arrive at Anita from what Steve Moffat put on the page?
I wrote down a timeline myself actually that was like how long I thought was between each bit and where it was in the years, beg your pardon. So obviously they tried to do hints at the Easter eggs, and there's all of those different things that you'll see in the little montage. Guy Fawkes, exactly, all of that stuff. So I would write it down, and also because we're filming obviously out of sequence, so sometimes you arrive and it's towards the end of our year together. Sometimes it would be a day when it's the very beginning. So I had my timelines that I always knew, and then I tried to work on how I would feel towards a friend, someone that you meet for the first time. How do you feel after 6 months compared to right at the beginning and stuff? So yeah, I did try to plan it so that I could show that friendship in tiny seeds. Eating my Chinese food.
You do self-tape auditions. Some people a bit of a contentious issue. So I did want to ask you, how do you feel about self-taping as a thing? Is it just it's just a thing you've got to do these days? So
I had my first round of self-tape, the second one was Zoom, and then I'd been cast, I think, but then I met the director in person, Alex Pillai, who's absolutely phenomenal, who also directed Reality One, both. So self-tapes, I've got different opinions about it. I think it is just part of the industry now. In one sense, it's so helpful. I have 2 children at home, a 2.5-year-old and a 1-year-old, so being able to find the time myself to video it and edit it and do it is really, really useful. Probably similar to people who get the chance to work from home. It does help working parents, and it does help people who have other dependents or other responsibilities. But equally, I'm not there with a director.
You kind of miss having the instant reaction of somebody else in the room.
Absolutely, and working with a director and making a connection in real life, which is never quite the same over Zoom. So I think it's one and both. I think you could look at pros and cons of all of that, definitely.
When this comes through from your agent and they're basically saying, so there's a bit on Doctor Who, and it's like, what's the reaction? Because Doctor Who's a big thing now, but I'm conscious that you're not actually old enough to remember the original series. So to put that again, putting things into context, you were born, if the internet is correct, you were born the year I became an actual card-carrying Doctor Who fan. 88. Sylvester McCoy, season 25.
We need to wrap that on the end.
So,
okay.
So before the series came back 20 years ago, can we believe we're now saying the series came back 20 years ago? Was it a thing that you'd ever heard about or seen?
Yeah, oh yeah. So when I graduated uni, I moved in with an amazing housemate, and she loved the Matt Smith era. And I actually have a story which I've been sharing a little bit about this, which is that she loved it so much that our fridge was covered in pictures of Matt Smith and Karen Gill. All of that. Proper like teenage vibes, like blue tacked onto the fridge. And because I was an actor and you know, mutual friends and things in that industry, we had a house party. I think I made a bad expression then. I want to take a different picture. That was like this. We had a house party, and my friend Rachel brought this beautiful, tall, elegant woman to our party, and we were all just chatting to her like, who are you? Da, 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 da. Quite had a lot of wine by this point. Okay, lazy-eyed, early 20s, house party vibes. My friend Rachel brings this amazing actor. We're chatting away. My housemate runs in. Steph, get the pictures off the fridge. We're running downstairs. We're pulling the pictures off. I'm like, what's going on? I've just been chatting to this lovely person and asking her all about acting and how's it going? It's so hard, isn't it? It was Karen. In my house, and through that haze of alcohol and that kind of like Love Actually moment. Do you remember where like they just don't realise they're talking to a celebrity? I had that, and she was at our house party.
Now, admittedly, the alcohol is your excuse for that one, but I gather you do have a bit of a thing for not recognising people out of context.
Yes, I'm terrible. Really, really bad.
And one of the other strings to your bow is, you know where I'm going with this, right?
I'm not. No.
Right. So one of the strings to your bow is games. So that, you know, if you look on the internet, there is photos of you in one of those green leotards with ping pong balls all over you, and you've done gaming. Yes. And I gather you were doing a quite high profile game.
Yeah.
Take it away.
So I've done some motion capture where you wear these light sensors actually, which I didn't realise for a long time that's what they were. It's where you wear a big suit and then you've got the bobbles on you, and you work in what's called, and you probably know this, a volume. So it's a film set, but it's actually 360, and you've got the red cameras everywhere, and they're picking up all your movement. I think it's because I've done a lot of dance in the past, so I've done a bit of movement work for them. And I was just coming to do some very small parts on a video game called Star Citizen. And I was with this other guy who had the same agent as me, a previous agent, and he went, oh my God, do you know who just came over to say hello? And I did the same thing. I was just like, oh, hi, I'm Steph, how are you doing? You having a nice time? As I do. Yeah, and he was like, hi, I'm Mark, it's lovely to meet you. And I was like, oh, it's nice to meet you, Mark, you're right. And then this actor was like, do you know who that is? And I was like, no, it was Mark Hamill. And I think I just, well, as I said, at conventions, I love meeting people, and I just see everyone as everyone, as you do, you know, and clearly Mark Hamill as well. I was like, oh, it's just Mark. Yeah, that was a cringe moment.
Oh,
he took it well, he was very lovely.
So, Doctor Who did the audition.
Yeah.
The next bit is almost a production in and of itself, which is the read-through. We've all seen the footage on the behind-the-scenes shows and that, and it almost seems like there's 1,000 people in the room.
How did you see it?
It's on the making of episodes.
Oh, on the Unleashed.
And on the Unleashed and the footage that they put on the Tinterwebs and all that. But I mean, this is a different thing, I guess. You're sat next to Shooty, who's sat next to Nicola. You've got Russell, and you've got Stephen, who's reading all the stage. Was that the first time you get to meet everybody?
Yes.
And so what's the vibe? What's the experience of the read-through?
I can't explain what's really happened over the last 2 years, because I think having come from, maybe because I've worked a lot in theatre, and I do get stage fright, and I think stepping out on a stage and the worry of getting it absolutely, not necessarily right, because you don't have to always get it right, but like to a position where you feel comfortable and happy with how it's going, I think it's such a huge feeling for me.
Yeah.
That weirdly, walking into that room and being like, oh my gosh, I'm sat next to Shooty and you know, Russell's right there, and there's quite a lot of people watching me, didn't feel as scary as standing on stage when it has to be right in this moment and live and da-da-da-da. It was really strange. So actually I felt quite comfortable. I mean, I prepared my ass off. Like I had worked really, really hard. So I think preparation got me through it. But yeah, it's a very surreal experience because I didn't know what it was going to be like at all.
Is that very much your watchword, preparation?
Oh, it's all prep.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I try very hard to get it right and know my life because I just don't want to slow up the set day. You want to be absolutely secure in who your character is, and I think a lot of that comes from theatre training. You know, you've got to be absolutely prepared. Yeah.
Talk amongst yourselves for a second. I always ask this because it's my big bugbear. How do you learn lines?
Oh.
I'm awful at learning. I do fantastic, but I am dreadful at learning lines.
Okay, my big thing, I suppose, is learning them out of context. So I do lots of different things.
Yeah.
I look at it on a page and I'll know if I'm turning the page, I'll be able to tell you what's on like the second page. So I learn it visually. Everything's quite visual to start with.
Right.
So I know that my first page is this, and I learn it scene by scene, obviously. And then I do another one because I record my voice doing the other voices and try and time it. Never works out properly. I always cut myself off. And then I do it while I do activities, so it removes the pressure of being in the scene. So I'll be cooking dinner and I'll do my lines, or I'll clean the house and I'll do my lines, and I'm just listening to the other voice. And I think what happens also is that you're not planning how you're going to say it. You're just, which is what I think I want to do. I just want to know the lines, and then I can react and be directed. But yeah, so, and then my husband, my wonderful husband, who's also an actor and director, I get him to do loads of the scenes with me, so he knows.
You've got somebody
all the other parts as well.
Right,
but yeah, probably those things.
So you had the whole experience of Joy to the World.
Yeah.
How quickly did they come back to you for Reality War?
So I think, I don't know when Russell wrote it. I don't know when he planned to write it. And I'm not sure why they didn't tell me earlier. Because I found out, when did we shoot? April, May, maybe? And of the year before it came out. And I think I found out about it was 4.5 or 4 weeks before filming started. And the way that it was really strange was my agent, I rang my agent to be like, I've just got a message from, I got on really well with some of the crew, and someone had messaged me saying, oh, I think you might need a costume fitting, da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, what's happened? Oh, is there a pickup? Has something gone wrong? No, hold on. Da-da-da-da. I was like really confused. And so I rang my agent, like, oh, they did availability check you, but we didn't think anything was happening, so we just didn't tell you. And I was like, sure. I'd love to know about availability checks. He was like, no, we didn't want to get your hopes up, like we're just waiting. It all sounded very loose and, you know, NDAs. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, just to let you know, I had a message about a costume, so I'm pretty sure something's happening. And then by the time they did agree that I was going back, they had got my costume ready from Joy to the World, sizing. And my agent had to say,
that was going to be my next question.
She's 5.5 months pregnant. And luckily, amazingly, Russell was just like, great, so Anita's now pregnant. And they just went with it, and we had to obviously change it and had to think about me growing, because I was over 8 months by the time we finished, just before 8 months. And it wasn't scheduled perfectly. There were gaps. I was growing quite a lot. I think, I wish I remember completely, but I think it was between 6 to 8 months. So the bump just like blossomed quite quick.
Oh, it's excuse me. It's kind of a different role for Anita coming back, because you've got a lot of technobabble and plot exposition to deliver. So it's almost a different character and certainly a different story. I mean, what did you think when you actually got the script handed to you and you reacting to it?
Yeah, it felt really different actually. I think I could tell the difference in writing, the difference in like Anita had learnt a lot. Obviously right at the beginning when Shooty says, but the doctor says, you know, you were so ordinary before and all of that stuff. So yeah, it felt very different. It felt like she'd been on a real journey. And there was still some witty lines, like when I'm playing the doorstop and holding the door and just saying about like, I'm just a hotelier and things like that. So I think Stephen and Russell had sort of agreed on those little one-liners, which was really, really nice. But yeah, it did feel quite different. I had to get my tongue around all of those wee words about eyebrows and bits and bobs and trying to figure out everything.
Reversing the polarity of the neutron flow.
There we go.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Were you aware that there had been a lot of adaptation given the whole bump of it all, or was it just a case of we just needed to throw a couple of extra lines in and then everything else was pretty much as is?
I never saw a script before being pregnant, so I don't know what the changes were. Obviously there's some lines that explain it. I think they were just not going to make a huge thing out of it. It was just like, Anita's pregnant, she's moved on, which is quite lovely, and then it was like, yes, but she still has a role, which I quite liked. You don't have to always portray pregnant women as having to sit down.
I mean, I don't know about other people or for yourself. I just kind of got the impression that in a different version, you might have had a bit more activity as opposed to just holding a door open.
No, I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think so. I think it was always about opening the doors.
That's a good way to put it.
I believe. Yeah. Because the whole point was not, obviously I had to hold the door open, but I think it was about, I had to obviously open them all the way around to unit and it had such a link, an integral link to the storyline. I think that was still there. And also, I had a stunt person, so if there was more physical things, they would have used her. For instance, I wasn't allowed for insurance reasons when I pull the doctor through and then we fall on the floor. Even though I was quite physical in my pregnancy, like some other stuff, but I wasn't allowed to do the big fall. And so they had a stunt person, so I kind of feel like if there was other stuff, they would have figured it out.
Let's wind a long way back now. I want to go all the way back to the start with Steph Whalley. How did you get from the beginning to Doctor Who? So why acting? How did you get to acting?
Gosh, well, I danced a lot as a kid, and I went to like a local drama group, and then I went to a ballet school for a very short period of time, and then I had to make that decision, as you do in ballet, of am I going to make this career very young, as a teenager, early teens, or do I want to go a different way? And I'm really glad in a way that I stuck to my gut, which was I absolutely adore dance. I love watching it and have friends in that world, but I kind of knew, and my auntie had been a dancer. I said, well, acting's a really hard industry, but it's also a very short-lived industry, dance. And I think I just knew at that time that I don't think I want to go the ballet route. I think it wasn't for me. But I loved acting and performing, and I knew really young that I wanted to do that. And so I went to uni, I did English and Literature at uni, and then I went to drama school afterwards, the Oxford School of Drama, and did acting. And then it's just sort of been it.
What was the sort of thing that, excuse me, you would watch that you go, yeah, I enjoy watching this, I'd like to be doing that?
Well, I grew up with some terrible telly, so I can't, I cannot, yeah, exactly, that proper like 90s, early 2000s telly. I got Friends on repeat, well, brilliant telly, Friends on repeat, but you know, lots of...
Friday night, Channel 4.
Yeah, loads of sitcoms, loads of that stuff, which is brilliant telly actually, I just mean, you know,
you
I wasn't watching like groundbreaking art. So all of that, but I think theatre, I've always fallen in love with theatre. And I actually didn't go to the theatre very much. Like, I grew up in Seaford, Jason, fellow Seafordian. And I actually didn't go to theatre a lot with my parents. I think I just knew about it. And then as I became a teenager and was able to go, I read a bit more. And then when I went to uni, in that incredible opportunity, if, you know, anyone that is younger out there and thinking about it, like, going to uni was the most amazing experience for me because you're suddenly independent. And I just went to every possible show I could. I ran the theatre group at uni. I put on 9 shows a year. Like, I just immersed myself in it. And I started to understand film a bit more as well. And I think I really, really found my taste as well in work. I did do a bit of like directing in theatre, and yeah, I think that really helped in like what I enjoyed and what I really liked. Yeah.
So what do you like then? What
do I like? At that point, I was obsessed with a company called Wise Children, they're now called Wise Children, Knee High at the time, which is run by Emma Rice. She ran the Globe for a while, and I've been very, very fortunate to assist her. Her company's now called Wise Children, and I love it. It's kind of dramatic, and there's music, and she adapts lots of traditional stories. She's just on Wuthering Heights, which I assisted with. I love her work. And then I also love Frantic Assembly, which is really physical. And now I love a whole host of things. I perform a lot of comedy on stage. I've worked with Mischief Theatre before and assisted a bit of their work. I love that as well. Obviously, I've always loved Shakespeare, but I've sort of fallen away from Shakespeare a little bit at the moment. I want to see stuff that's like really new and exciting. And sometimes I go and I'm like, oh, I have seen this. I like it when someone's doing something different, you know? Really putting the boat out and seeing something with a new lens. And I love plays with music and physicality and lots of different mediums thrown in, and it's unexpected.
I mean, in the space of a week, quite recently, I went and saw 2 shows that use a lot of the same skills and a lot of things that kind of fit into your multi-hyphenate that I've got written on this card. So I went and saw My Neighbour Totoro, which is awesome. Whether you like anime or not, great show. And then Warhorse. So a lot of acting, a lot of movement, puppeteering. I mean, so as I say, you're a what I would term a multi-hyphenate. So actor, singer, musician. You play the ukulele.
So with these multi-hyphenates, whilst I would love to be like, yes, I am. There's definitely a thing in acting where if you're like myself, I've worked a lot in theatre, and you're trying to get a job, and they say, can you puppeteer? You go, yes. Yes, I can. And that is what happened in my mid-20s when I did this very small tour called The Tap Dancing Mermaid, and I have tap danced since I was a kid, and I can tap dance to a certain level. And I could play the ukulele because I taught myself. I wouldn't put musician, I'd love to. I can bash out some chords on the piano and I can play along to the ukulele, but I definitely can't read music very well, and there's a level. There are people far better than me. But because I could play the ukulele and I could tap dance, and then they needed someone who could puppeteer to go do this role, and I was like, well, I've got 2 out of 3, like, I'll audition. And then they went, in the audition, well, here's some rod puppets. Could you show us some? And I think the big thing about acting is just going, all right. And so I picked up a puppet and I just had a go. And I think because I am quite movement-based and I'm quite aware of my body and movement, and I just sort of tuned into it, somehow I did it and I got the job. And then as things happen, a bit like doing Doctor Who, I was very fortunate. I've just worked with the casting director again, which is so wonderful, and just done something else with him. Things lead to things lead to things lead. And that puppeteering job, I'm so glad I white-lied because I then was very fortunate to go do another puppeteering job, and then another puppeteering job, and it just leads. So sometimes I don't advocate lying, but I advocate self-belief if you think it's something you can do.
Can you have too many strings to the proverbial bow? Because
yes, I think you can. I think And I felt that sometimes, like for instance, I wouldn't apply for a job. In my early 20s, I would try and apply for a job and be like, yes, I could even lead in a musical theatre show. No, I couldn't at the moment. Like, there are skills that are incredible, and I think you can be this multi-hyphen. I've never heard this term before, multi-hyphen, but I think you can have lots of different skills, but it's knowing your level.
Right.
And I think, for instance, I would never say I'm an actor muso, because there are people who are grade 8 at their instruments and they're incredible, and there's no point me saying I am that, because someone else is going to do it much better, and I don't want to waste the time in the audition. So I think it's just knowing where you sit and knowing, and sometimes you get that actually. I've been up for a musical before, like I can sing and I have sung on a Whooverville stage, a small part, but I think it's just knowing when you walk in the room. Sometimes they'll ask you, are you musical theatre trained, which is like classical and to a brilliant, brilliant level. And I now would say something like, I'm an actor who can sing well. Because I think there is a difference, and also we just need to know our place in the world. And yeah, I don't want to give anyone the wrong idea.
When I was doing my deep dive on Steph to Whalley, for this, one of the things I did find was,
I'm nervous.
You were one of 70 West End people who did Do You Hear People Sing during COVID on YouTube.
I did, yeah, that was amazing.
That was a lovely video.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, it's up until quite recently. I'll tell you about it. Up until recently, I've not really known lately. But now I'm quite familiar with that song, and that. I mean, so what? Let's go back 5 years.
Yeah.
COVID. You just got your first West End job.
I did. I was 2 weeks into rehearsals, and for Magic Goes Wrong, which is by Mr. Theatre, you do the play that goes wrong, if anyone's seen it. Brilliant fast, brilliant company. And I was 2 weeks in, and then, like all of us, we've all been affected in different ways. We went to the pub after rehearsals, as you do, and then we all were sort of talking about it. It was at that moment where everyone was getting a little bit conscious of like touching or being close, and we were all washing our hands an awful lot. And someone coughs, and you're just like, is it coming? Is it here? And then, yeah, we went to the pub, and we all had an email that was like, don't come back tomorrow. We all got fired. It was that quick. And we had a year-long contract. And self-employed, so obviously at that time there was no self-employment money either. So we were all just in shock. We were all just a bit like, I don't understand, don't know what's happening. And then in that optimism as well, our producers were like, but it's all going to reopen in 3 months. And we're like, okay, 3 months, I can do 3 months, I can do 3 months. 6 months, okay, fine, I can do, okay, 6 months, I'll do some 6 months, that's fine. I was doing like teaching online, workshops here and there, and whatever you could by Zoom and stuff. And then 6 months, I think I did like a play online at one point. And then it just extended, and I was like, oh my goodness, what is happening? And luckily, I had a few other things. I tutored at the time. I was tutoring like English literature online.
You got a side hustle.
Side hustles, English, GCSE, and A level, which I've helped students. That's been my on and off for years actually. And I did a bit of that, and then luckily I had a friend that works in immersive theatre, and they were doing this brilliant online show with Jury Duty, which is still running. They're brilliant, and they have another experience. Should remember the name, could have promoted it. It's just been at Comic-Con, which is really cool. And they were doing this online thing called Jury Duty. So me and my husband, who's an actor, with that. So we were on Zoom with people across the world doing this like interactive jury duty, which is really fun. And then finally, 18 months later, Magic Goes Wrong came back, and I got to do it. And that's why we did that song, was the West End people singing, Do You Hear the People Sing, was just because we were also like begging the government through Equity, our union at the time, being like, please let there be something for freelancers, because we're, you know, trying, like everyone, you know, trying to find work, trying to make it happen, but also just like, oh my gosh, if there's no financial support, we're all going to burn and bust. But it came back.
What I personally love, just finding things like this, is that one, just a fantastic performance anyway, but it's a record of a very difficult period that we all went through, just all in kind of different ways. I mean, and as you mentioned, your husband is at that point. I mean, was there ever a moment where it's like, yeah, we might have to you know, call it and get you. Don't take this the wrong way. Join the real world.
Yeah. We think about it a lot, but quite often like, why don't we have a 9 to 5 or 9 to 6? I'm sure now really works for 5. I think we were both very fortunate that other things came up. We did end up making it work. I did a bit of mocap. I did other little things here and there. When things started to gradually open in different ways, I was able to do stuff at different levels, so we were both all right. My husband also did some sideline stuff, so we got through it, and I think as everyone sort of tried to. But I think that's what's so amazing about the episode that Stephen wrote is that, well, it really, really hit me, particularly with Joy's mother, obviously, that we all have been hugely affected. Everyone knows somebody who has been hugely affected or that we've lost, and I think it was such a brutal, brutal time that we've all been through. It's so weird when you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, we went through this global, life-changing thing all together in different ways.
I mean, this community, you know, so many people here at Whooverville are regulars who've been doing it for so many years, and we had to not do it that year.
Yeah.
So the following year, which was my first one, we were back in, and it's like, you know, we're wearing masks and this, that, and the other. So everybody here, we had our experience of it as well. Just in general, what is it you like about acting that does keep you going? It's a tough business to be in, and an even tougher business to stay in. So
it's really tough. I think there are two completely separate things. There is the love for performing. It's just really fun. It's just really fun. I don't think you can, I mean, a lot of people talk about the artistry of it and things like that. Yes, there is. There is a love for the creativity, the love for the writing, the making, whatever capacity you are involved in a creative job. But I think also it's just really, really fun. We all love it. We're all here because we love culture, and that is so important. Storytelling. I love stories. Like, I'm a massive reader, and I tried writing when I was much younger, and I just think there's something so exciting about it. But I also think it's a bit addictive, because you do get such a high, like being on stage, for anyone, I'm sure some of you have probably done it too, it is such a physical thrill being with an audience and responding, seeing faces. There's a connection that you cannot explain really unless you've done it. And then I mean, I've done some independent film and obviously some adverts before Doctor Who, but Doctor Who was my first telly. And what I really loved about it was it actually felt a lot safer, because on stage you can feel, particularly if I've got stage fright, you can feel a bit wobbly and a bit like, oh my gosh, there's no one here to save me. Like, your cast are there to save you, but it is petrifying when you're on your own, or something's gone wrong, or you said the wrong thing, or you suddenly get a brain freeze and you're like, oh god, what, are you dry? Luckily I haven't really had that, but it can happen. Whereas on TV or film, there's a safety there that's really lovely, that you can take your time, you can do it again. And obviously you don't get to choose which one the editor's going to choose, so it might not be the take that you think like, oh, I friggin' nailed that, and then you watch it back and you're like, that wasn't the one. I had to watch, recently I had to do some ADR, which is like the recording that you do for your voice over the thing that you shot for something that I've just shot for ITV, and I watched it and I was like, why did they choose this? That was not my best little line. It was only for a line. I think I'm a bit of a perfectionist, but I was like, I didn't nail that line, in my opinion. So, and then I think it is a little bit addictive. I was saying this to someone, I mean, I don't have any addictive flaws, but I think it is really hard when you don't have work and you're just back to auditioning and you're going, how do I pay the mortgage and bills? And then something happens. You get a recall, you get close to it, and you're like, I'd love to be in that world. And it attracts lovely people. And I think I'm a people person, and I did step into a different job at one point for a little while, still auditioning, I lied, didn't I? And I worked actually for someone in the corporate world. I sort of did some PAs, and it really reminded me where I like to be and who I love working with and meeting on a daily basis. And I think there's a shared connection and frame of reference in the arts. And yeah, I think very good.
What I'm going to do is throw it open to this
one,
because they are lovely. Right, who wants to ask down the front here? Hi. Is
Shooty Gatworth really as good looking in real life as
Is Shooty as good looking in real life? You should ask my son.
I know. He is an absolute dreamboat. Absolute dreamboat. He's so charming. You get a bit lost in his eyes. And it wasn't very hard to play Anita, being his friend and thinking of more, just being like, gosh, you're just so lovely. He was amazing. And he's so friendly and warm. And we had a lovely connection because we've worked with Emma Rice, we both worked. He was in her production at the Globe, or I think it's called it's not called 971, we could Google it. But an amazing production that Emma Rice did about the war. And he was in it, and I'd seen it, and I was like, I saw you in that show. And so we had a lovely connection about theatre, which I think is like one of his true loves as well. And we got on really well, and I think he's phenomenal as an actor.
I saw him in
Did you? As Algernon?
Really?
Oh, I wanted to see it. My baby was like 4 months, bless her, but I really wanted to see that. I watched all the clips and bits and bobs doing the rounds. He looked amazing.
Anybody seen Born with Teeth yet? I'm going in October.
Are you? Yeah, that's with the RSC on the West End at the moment. You can see Born with Teeth, and he plays Marlowe, the amazing writer. Yeah, he is fabulous. I'm just going to keep soaring.
Anybody else? Yes.
Hi.
Hiya.
Iona.
Yeah. How was it when you first got into acting?
It was amazing. I first got in really after drama school, and I got an agent. And you know what? My first job was The Importance of Being Earnest in York. It's not quite the same. The National Theatre. And I played Gwendolyn, who, Gwendolyn, funny character. And I've done a lot of comedy, which I love doing. And so that's kind of how I first got into it. And that was one of my first jobs.
You did Ernest more than once, though, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I'm not as old as this character is usually cast, but I did a tour of Lady Bracknell. And I was really sort of honoured and thrown by the casting. Like, what? So Gwendolyn is Lady Bracknell's daughter. So I played Gwendolyn in my early 20s, and then literally a few years later played Lady Bracknell. But to be fair, it was an outdoor tour, which was amazing. I learned a lot from doing outdoor theatre. My God, it was incredible but exhausting. And I played Lady Bracknell, so it was there was distance and a lot of makeup and an incredible big outfit and this hat. And it was great because I kind of had to clown it a bit and like age her up. So I really went for it, and I had a really fun time. But yeah, I did do it twice. I know that played very well.
I'm hoping to become an actor too.
Are you?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Are you thinking of drama school, or are you going to go straight in? You could just get right into casting directors and see.
I've got an online thing.
Amazing.
Acting class.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, keep going. Keep writing to people and get yourself a show reel. Just film yourself doing some stuff. Send it to casting directors.
I've done my own self-tape with a script I wrote.
Oh, you're already there. You know what you're doing. Yeah. Good luck with it.
Another one down the front here.
Hi, yeah, you're right.
Are you aware that shooting's leaving?
Yeah.
Were you aware that shooting's leaving when you were filming? Was that involved after that bit of the script was kept in?
What did I say, sir?
NDA. Those NDAs are, watertight, are they not?
I didn't know very much. You're always the last to know. Yeah. So I didn't know a lot of things. I won't. But yeah, I didn't know a lot of things until much later. Yeah. Yeah.
Another one here.
Hi, yeah.
Hi, I just want to say you do really enjoyable and really fun panels.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Darren. Got the D.
Would you go back to Doctor Who given a chance, and would you do Big Finish again?
Yes, yes.
Anita Ben and the Time Hotel, coming soon from Big Finish.
One, because I absolutely loved it and I genuinely loved the work. I've really enjoyed watching Doctor Who these last 2 seasons. Not because I'm in it, because that's freaking cringe. Looking away at my own role, but I've genuinely loved the writing. I've really enjoyed watching it. I think it's so rare for a TV show. I mean, it's such an institution here, and you know, and thank God the BBC has just said that they will keep it whenever it will come back, but I think it's a really rare show. I think you don't see a family sci-fi, sort of funny, any genre, any episode production anymore, I don't think. I think the programme is incredible and the writing is amazing, so I can't wait to see what happens next. I'd love to go back to it. Big Finish, I haven't been approached, I'd love to. I think there's room for a spin-off one day at a time. No
I buy that box.
And I got babies to feed.
With the Fez. Fezes are cool.
What's your favourite acting role you've done?
Favourite acting role?
At the moment, I've genuinely loved playing Anita. I really loved doing Joy to the World when I got to like discover her. I love an underdog. Talking about taste, I really love, quite often they end up being British films that are quite smaller independent films where there's an underdog vibe. There's one actually that Jodie Whittaker did called Adult Life Skills that I've always loved. And she plays this kind of like unassuming young woman figuring life out. And I think I always love roles like that, where it's someone that seems a bit unassuming and then you learn a lot about them and they're really endearing. I think the way that Stephen wrote Anita, I just fell in love with the script. I thought this was just really beautiful and tender and true to a lot of stuff that we go through where you do feel quite lonely and it just becomes about work and then someone comes into your life. Maybe, you know, like here, like everyone meeting each other and you feel connected and you exist somewhere and you belong, and I think Anita had that belonging that was just so lovely. So I have really enjoyed that. And on the other hand, I love comedy and silly, fun characters, and probably performing in Magic Goes Wrong was really, really fun. And getting to do I had to do a lot of like contortion and magic acts, because Penn and Teller wrote all the magic for the show, and then Ben Hart, who's a phenomenal magician, taught it to us. And I got to learn a lot of tricks, like being sawn in half, and hiding in a box, and appearing behind a curtain where you didn't know where I appeared from, which I'm definitely not allowed to tell you. And all these incredible things. I stabbed someone in the hand with a knife, which was petrifying actually, because you had to use a real knife, and at some point it doesn't become a real knife, and it was actually quite scary. So that was really, really fun. Yeah, learned a lot.
We've got time for a couple more
down here. Hiya.
Yeah.
When you first did Anita, I think there was a lot of songs online that you made it way through the camera. Is that something you heard and would you heard at the time?
Yeah, absolutely. It was something I heard and I was so humbled by it. It's so lovely. And yeah, of course I would. How amazing. And I think in a way it was kind of explained to me in a way that I was sort of like a Christmas companion, but then obviously because of the Doctor's relationship with Joy, it was slightly muddled, but it was sort of discussed that in that episode when I was there that I was sort of the companion.
Thing to always remember that's been told to me by Elizabeth Sladen of all people was the Doctor's companion is their best friend. Anita was his best friend for that year that he was living one day after the other.
Yes.
So I'd argue.
Yeah, well it was... Oh, thank you. It was kind of...
Or maybe the Doctor was your companion.
Who's that? Oh, say it again.
Maybe the Doctor was your companion.
Yeah, the Doctor was my companion. I like that. It was sort of... But yeah, it was kind of explained that I was.
Let's do one more. Who've got? Anybody? Yes? No? We have come to the end of our life. To borrow a phrase, it's been an absolute joy.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, for all that time,
Thank you so much.
Steph Whalley.